Why, hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I'm your host and guide, Zollin Ironshield, and I hope you're having a wonderful day in Middle-earth, my friends. And today, on our RiseToWar Legacy playlist here on the channel, we're going to talk about the Witch King of Angmar, and more particularly, how do you counter the Witch King of Angmar, because he's so super strong. He's really, really strong. Alright, so let's get straight into it, guys. So I actually have the Witch King. I do use him. He's very good. I mostly focus, if you know my channel, I like to focus on dwarf commanders. So let's talk about what counters the Witch King. All right, well, first things first, I want to talk about a piece of armor that's very important. He is wearing it right now. The Superior Halberd, okay? This item, if you get the one that has fire protection on it, all right? It's the only item that has this. Allied units burn damage received negative 60% when it's fully maxed, when it has full refines on it. This is kind of necessary to beat the Witch King, all right? So he is really, really strong. I actually, personally, I've been playing this game all the last 8 seasons. This is the 8th season since the beginning. He's a little bit overtuned with alchemists, right? Because alchemists do fire damage. He's just a little too strong. But if you want to break even with a whale of a Witch King, like he's wailing in the background right now with that scream. If you want to break even, you really need to have that piece of armor. So now, what commanders do I use? What units do you use, okay? The only thing you can adjust in this game is your skills, the commander you're using with those skills, right? Your armor, or your items, and your units, right? We all know that, okay? All right? That's simple. Let's stay. Oh. And Zollin wants to say, I do like and subscribe. It just helps you out, guys. I appreciate it. The best commanders... There's a couple dwarves that are pretty good against him, right? You probably know what I'm going to say. Dwalin is pretty good against him because of a particular skill. He has Warrior of the Lonely Mountain, and when it's maxed, his army takes 50% reduced burn damage, okay? Boom. There's one counter thing you can do. There's Ori, not his brother, excuse me, but the other tier 1 commander. He's technically his cousin, I think. But he also has that Warrior of the Lonely Mountain. Great, wonderful. Another couple characters that counter him very hard are a couple of the White Council characters. For example, Gandalf the White Council. Again, if you read what White Council's ability does, it is a high damage reduction thing, and it reduces... It basically is a stacking benefit, but High Alert is the thing you really want. So you have any character that has the ability High Alert, where it says all your allied units take less focus, burn, and poison damage. Very good, very good. But again, Gandalf the White is also a very strong counter just because the fact that he can stun units, and he also has a stacking focus defense buff, and he does more damage to Uruk-hai, champion. There's a lot of things, okay, with that. But let's keep going through. What other commanders counter, all right? So, just naturally from their skills. I'm talking about naturally from their skills, okay? I do not believe, not Thranduil. I was trying to think if he does. But I know that Galadriel is very good. Again, she has White Council, and she has High Alert, okay? She also has very high focus, so those things help too. Because if you didn't know this, if you click on focus, it actually says... affects commanders burn, poison, and focus damage. Also reduces damage received by commander's army during battle. So it actually helps your army take less damage. So if you're a character that has high focus, it will help right there naturally defend you against fire damage, right? Or anything that the alchemists do from the Witch King, all right? So that's good. Again, characters that heal can be good too and remove debuffs, right? That can be very helpful as well. Again, and that's another reason, bounce back to one reason I like Dwalin and Ori, because Dwalin and Ori have Musician, and they actually have an ability that says recovers a certain amount of HP, and this one actually says removes one random debuff, because the Witch King likes to do a lot of things to you as well, besides burn you with alchemists. So they're pretty good at that particular area. Another character that is very good with fighting the Witch King is, I believe, yes, he has High Alert. Yep, Elrond. Elrond has High Alert. Gandalf the Grey is okay at surviving it. He does have High Alert. If you're rank 5, he can be a good one to decently fight him. I've never seen a Gandalf the Grey destroy a Witch King, though. It's always kind of like barely breaks even kind of thing. So if you are a free-to-play player and you have Gandalf the Grey, though, rank 5, he might be a good choice to help you fight off someone with a Witch King. I know that Gil-galad is very, very good at fighting the Witch King. I've seen a Gil-galad just annihilate Witch Kings before. Again, he's one of the High Council, High Alert, and he also has some things that gives him evade and initiative, which is kind of cool. This one right here, which really helps not let those alchemists hit your units in the first place, which can be very, very beneficial to you. All right, and damage received as well, high king, right, and gives you more HP. So that can be good. He also has follow up there with his last ability. Okay. Again, having something that has a dodge or some kind of damage reduction as well as fire rate protection is very powerful. Okay. I believe that Radagast is probably okay at it. I don't think he is super great. I've never seen him be super great at defeating the Witch King, though. So I wouldn't put that one in the list of counters, really, personally. Maybe some of you disagree. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Not him. I was like, wait a second. This one. I believe I have seen Celeborns beat the Witch King. I don't know if it's a super, super, super high counter, though, but they have a lot of defenses. And again, it's the evade thing. He has Greg Elf, so they have a chance to evade that crazy damage, right? And if you have Marchward and Seaver Lothlorien, he's even more monstrous. You see, each round, elves have a chance to follow up, too. Initiate 2 normal attacks. Again, it's good with anything that has initiative like that, because if you don't know, the Witch King himself, this is also important to realize, has an ability, right? Where is it? There it is. This thing. Initiative, follow-up. So they get to attack first, can act first in the round, and they always do. And there's a chance they get follow-up where they get hit twice, okay? This is why it's so disgustingly strong. I try not to say overpowered because he does have counters, but might be a little overtuned, in my opinion, because I've just been playing against him a lot now. Again, he also gets Ring Wraith, which increases burn damage, right? And he has a chance to stun your units. So if you can keep your units from being stunned, that's a big one too. Because if your units are stunned, he gets initiative to go first. He gets a chance to hit double twice, and he's increasing his fire damage. You see why he'll just one-shot an army before they can even fight back. Other commanders you're asking, let's see, is there any other ones? I have seen Isildur beat Witch Kings very hard. He has a lot of cool abilities. He's got some stun abilities. He's got madness. He comes to madness and see a chance to evade physical damage. And the reason why this is good is because alchemists are not range. They count as using physical damage even though it becomes fire. And you're like, what in the heck? What do you mean by that? Their attacks are actually physical attacks. If it says they're a physical attack, even though it says they're fire damage, it says it converts their physical attack to fire damage. That's their ability. Okay? So again, but that is the big question, right? So now you kind of know what commanders are good at countering them. Also, if you're talking about evil side commanders, I should probably mention this. Any commander that can also stop, like for example, Grima can madden a lot of enemies. So if you have a way to make the enemy Witch King's alchemists fight themselves or one other unit in their group. Now, that doesn't really help you that he's just massing alchemists, right, the Witch King. But a lot of people have another unit in there with them because they don't want their one unit to be stunned, so they throw in 1 or 2 other units to kind of, you know, balance it out so that maybe the other unit gets stunned and not their alchemist kind of thing. So that comes down to armor. There's also armor that can make enemies be maddened. There's armor that can prevent you from being stunned. There's stuff that can prevent you from being silenced, right? So again, there is some little gamble there until you actually fought them and know what kind of armor that Witch King's using and what kind of armor you're using, right? But again, there are some other really good commanders in the evil side that are also good counters. If you have some off the top of your head, go ahead. I don't play the evil side too much. Go ahead and drop them in there. I do play the Witch King though, so because, you know, can't beat them, join them sometimes. But my Gimli actually can, if he can survive it, if I give him the Fire Halberd, he can survive the Witch King and actually break pretty even. I do find if you're playing the Witch King, there's a lot of people playing the Witch King. If you have this on, I've seen Witch Kings hit each other, and one of them has it, one of them doesn't. The guy who has this on just beats the other one so bad. So it's a really good counter to the Witch King. Again, items you want to use for the Witch King are obviously like things that buff physical damage if you're using those alchemists, right? Also, I got one where it maddens the enemy, where they kind of fight amongst themselves occasionally, right? Again, this item could be decent also against the Witch King himself, right? If you're an evil side or good side. And then I just give him some speed things. Again, I don't have a whole lot. I do have an Urukai and focus damage, which I might use this in the future, one of these. Urukai, if I get this higher level, I may use this. But since this one's Siege, I give it to Gothmog. Anyway, side note. So yeah, commanders, items. Now, you're thinking about units. What counters him naturally with units? Well, dwarves are natural counters to him just because the Dwarf Guardian and the Dwarf Ram Riders have fire resistance, right? As you all know. Let's see. Can I pull those up right now with my early base here? I believe I can. All right, let's see. Yes. Oh, this is tactics evolved, so I can choose different things, but they don't have it. Only the melees do. So only the melee, not the X-Force. So they have heat proof, goes at 20%. They originally made it when they first did this. They made them 50%, and they nerfed it. If you all remember that a few seasons ago, at the time of making this video, they nerfed it 20. I think they nerfed it too much. It was too strong before. 50% was too much, but it should have been nerfed to like 25%, 30 or 25%. Bringing it down to 20 kind of makes it feel a little bit like, but it's still cool that they gave it to them at all, right? Because they have 3 things. And the Ram Riders have it. So it's a great thing to put on there. I will say, sometimes you're still going to fight a Witch King that might still crush you. You may have, let's say, for example, I had Zollin who had the Halberg on. So that meant he was taking, at that time my Halberg wasn't maxed at 60%, it was 50. So he had a 50% fire reduction here, he had a 50% fire reduction on the item, and he had his dwarves at 20%, so that's 120. Now granted, there's a diminishing return that happens when you start stacking things, but it still does help to have that much. And the Witch King removes like 30% of your fire resistance, so really I had like 90% fire reduction, and I still got my army one shot in the first round. And I'm not trying to discourage you, I'm just telling you, this guy was a whale. He had like full gold items on his Witch King. His Witch King did 70, his Alchemist did 72,000 and 76,000 damage in the first round with follow-up. They wiped the whole army. Round 1, killed me all. And I'm going, well, how do you counter that? And it was at that point that I realized the Witch King is quite OP. He probably needs some balancing there. And I know they have nerfed him slightly since then with the Alchemists, but so it is really important, if you know there's a Witch King around, for one, tell your team. That's a huge counter too, guys. If you have a really good person on your team who has a really good Gil-galad or really good Galadriel or one of the Gandalf the White, who can beat the Witch King quite soundly because of high alert and maybe the right armor and units and damage, and they have follow-up or whatever to their own self-convener. Make sure you use that Ballin. It looks like Ballin just dropped his gem. Make sure you use it, okay? Make sure you use that information. Tell people. Use that clairvoyance ability, right? The new ability in the ring tree. This thing. Wait. No, this thing right here. This is a great counter right here. Clairvoyance, all right? Obtain information on the first 2. So if you know there's a Witch King on one of these tiles, you can use some of your points to scan it and look at that army, right? And then you can look what armor he has, that kind of stuff, right? What respect he is, that kind of thing. So again, items, the Fire Protection Halberd, huge counter, right? You can also use items that maybe silence things. Silence people, or make his units maddened, right? So maybe they miss and hit one of their own units. Those are all good things you can do with items. Units, the dwarves are probably one of the best counters. There are some other units too that are pretty decent at fighting alchemists, but it's pretty much the guardians are the real counter. The guardians and ram riders, because they have fire resistance. The commanders. We went through all the commanders just now. And then knowledge, talking to your team, finding where that Witch King player is, because unfortunately you really do need to think about that, because people not realizing a Witch King coming, and it's an army that's not prepared with the right items. See, because most of the time you can just break 75-25 with an army, right? Even if you're not really prepped to counter it. So like you might lose 75%, they lose 25%. It's like, oh, that's the worst. But it's way worse with the Witch King, because he hits 3 or 4 armies that aren't prepared. He's going to kill all 3 or 4 armies completely and only lose like half his people. So, yeah, Witch King is really scary. So, those are my best counters for you guys. I hope that helps you out. If it does, don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's more in the future, I'll let you know in live streams or whatever. And thanks to my Patreons. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe button's there if I earned it. Next episode will be up there for RiseToWar. Over there's Lotra Tale. And thank you to Skumley for being a royal guard and supporting the channel. You guys are the best. Baruch Hazad, Kuzad, I'm in you. And I couldn't do it without you. Have a great day in Middle Earth, my friends, and stay happy.